Hey everybody, I am going to do something that I didn't think I'd ever do, but I'm going to bring to you the Black Supper, which is a ritualistic like thing that they go through with Sigma Chi. Well, pretty much all of the fraternities, but this is the actual Sigma Chi one, and this is to initiate, I believe, the new members. So I've jumped way ahead in here to this part, and I will be going back and reading over other parts because there's so much, there's so much involved in this that it's so hard to pick a spot to actually bring to you guys, for the first time. I mean, it's just, I didn't even know where to start. I really didn't. That's why it's taken me so long to actually do this. So anyway, here we go. Ritualistic statutes. Proper arrangement for the Black Supper. So the candidates, which would be the pledges. Then you've got the members, the consul, which is all of the different members of the executive board, so like the president, the vice president, all that kind of stuff. The Black Supper. Purpose. The Black Supper in the fraternity is a serious and solemn ceremony used as a preliminary introduction to the formal initiation. The primary purpose of this ceremony is to impress candidates with the seriousness of our teachings. It is a lesson in personal responsibility. The ceremony sets the scene for the quest and gives the candidate the encouragement of the chapter for the symbolic mission he will undertake. Properties. Number 1, tables. 2, chairs for each candidate. 3, 2 or 3 candles for table. 4, goblets and saucers. 5, black cloth. 6, bread and water. 7, black robes for members. Preparation. Ideally, the ceremony should be conducted in a room large enough to accommodate the entire chapter standing at one end as a group and the candidates seated at the long table on the other end. The members are to be dressed in black robes with hoods drawn over their heads. They should stand as a body, facing the candidates with arms folded, maintaining absolute silence throughout the ceremony. This is the first time the candidates should see the members in realistic robes. I mean, realistic. Well, that's kind of Freudian slip. Ritualistic. There might be a lot of those through this, so just bear with me here. This is not the normal thing that I read on a day-to-day basis, so it's out of my league. Conducting the ceremony in a place other than the chapter house is permissible, provided that secrecy is maintained and that the place chosen is large enough to accommodate the entire class of initiates seated at one time, as well as the members of the active chapter standing. The consul, clad also in black robe, with his head bared, will stand alone approximately 3 paces in front of the chapter and deliver the Black Supper address from memory. The table is covered with a black cloth, and for further effect, the walls of the room may also be draped in black cloth. 2 or 3 candles placed on the table provide the only light in the room. Before each candidate is a small glass or goblet of water and a piece of bread cut in the shape of a square. The bread is placed on a small plate. The practice of certain chapters is provided special ware for the ceremony. Is commended. Caution. Wine or grape juice is not to be used because of the danger of offending the religious sensibilities of certain pledges. Appropriate recorded music may be played very softly throughout the ceremony. If music is not used, absolute silence must prevail. Note: The fraternity's recommended ritual music tape or compact disc contains an appropriate selection for this ceremony. Performance. The candidates are blindfolded and conducted into the room by guides, and each placed behind his seat at the table. No candidate shall have his back to the speaker and chapter. So no candidate should have his back to the speaker and chapter. The table may be extended into a U shape in the case of a large class. This being the first part of the initiation, the consul should strive to prepare the candidates for the seriousness of this ceremony and of those to follow. The consul must study carefully the purpose of the Black Supper in order to deliver it with understanding and meaning. Further, the speaker must realize the candidates are experiencing something new in their fraternity experience, both in text and in procedure. The consul must speak slowly, deliberately, and with feeling, making sure his pauses are ample where indicated. The speaker must give the candidates time to think about the new experience and what it is all about. An understanding delivery and a tone of voice will center their minds on the message of the dissertation and give meaning to it. Ceremony 3, or Division 3, the ceremonies of initiation, the Black Supper. If desired, the Black Supper may be delivered by the magister. Consul, that would be the president. My friends, be seated. Remove your blindfolds and place them on the table before you. There must be absolute quiet. Eat. Candidates partake of bread. Suitable pause, 30 seconds. Drink. Candidates all drink. Suitable pause, 30 seconds. Consul. My friends, we meet with quiet solemnity to honor one of our founders, Franklin Howard Scobie, who said, "A man is responsible to God, to his friends, and to his own judgment for the way he makes up his mind." Suitable pause. Jesus was the founder and leader of a brotherhood. He chose different types of men from the common walks of life and pledged them to a lifelong devotion to his cause. He met them in secret places. Together they shared certain spiritual truths and practiced noble virtues. In solemn secrecy, Jesus revealed the deepest purposes of his heart. He outlined a philosophy for a good life and announced the ideals for a better society. Secret signs, symbols, and solemn ritual characterized their brotherhood. Suitable pause. Our being here is symbolic of the last meeting Jesus had with his disciples. He had been their leader and guide. He had been their personal friend and counselor. He had been responsible for their motives and their actions. Suitable pause. At the last meeting, he told them that he could no longer be their leader, guide, friend, and counselor in visible form. He laid upon them the responsibility for carrying on the work of his cause. From this time forward, They would make their own decisions. By their initiative and on their personal responsibility, they would be accountable for their own character and conduct. Suitable pause. In like manner, I'm just going to say Sigma Chi, chapter of Sigma Chi fraternity has selected you, trained you, guided you, and assumed your responsibilities as their own. As Jesus left his disciples to their strength of character and trusted them with the ideals of his brotherhood, so does this chapter now leave you to your own strength of character and trust you with our ideals. From this time forward, you are responsible to God, to your friends, and to your own best judgment for the way you make up your mind and the way you think, speak, and act. Suitable pause there. Let me remind you that the white cross we wear comes to us from the Christ whose name and ideals of brotherhood find solemn and reverent use in our symbols, ceremonies, and teachings. We now put our trust in you, believing that the white cross will remain unsoiled and that our ideals will be reflected in your daily life. From now on, you are solely on your own. You will be put to tasks of grave importance. Your success depends upon your own steadfastness and high purposes. It is our hope that you will be found worthy. We all wish you success. Blindfolds are replaced. Suitable pause. Consul. You may rise. The candidates are completely ushered to their room, and the chapter proceeds with the ritual as prescribed. Ritualistic statutes. The quest. Purpose. The aim of the quest is to send the candidate out alone to think. It should be an inspiration, not a wild goose chase. When properly conducted, the candidate will search for an ideal, a search that he will be conducting for the rest of his life. He may discover gratitude to his home, appreciation of college opportunities. He may pray and find God and return the possessor of spiritual values and nobler manhood. Properties. Number 1, table. 2, chairs for magister and candidate. 3, quest instructions. 4, black member robe for magister. Preparation. The preparation of the written instructions for the quest and the manner for which they are to be given to the pledge are explicitly prescribed by the ritual. No chapter or member shall add to this ceremony or devise features other than those provided by the ritual. A careful time schedule must be followed in planning the quest. The most successful practice is that of sending the man out at 5 to 10 minutes sending the men out at 5 to 10 minute intervals and having them return on a similar schedule. This will avert the possibility of pledges encountering each other while coming or going. Care must be taken in planning the directions for the quest, routes to keep candidates from seeing or meeting each other. The distance each pledge will have to walk will depend on local conditions. A half mile to 1 mile each way is far enough. If it is necessary for the pledge to travel long distances because of crowded urban conditions, arrangements shall be made to drive him to the designated spot. Let him continue the remainder of the way on foot. Then pick him up at the designated hour. The length of time for each quest will be according to the distance the candidate must travel. It may be figured on the basis of 20 minutes per mile, or a maximum of 30 minutes for the actual search. So I believe this part right here, in my opinion, is when they blindfold them, put the beer bong down their throat, fill them with alcohol, drive them blindfolded to the designated quest area location, and then let them out and tell them to make their way back to the fraternity. It states it right here. That's what they do. They just left the alcohol part out of it. Rules to follow in determining quest location. The place of search should be, number 1, an isolated location. A, away from people. B, away from buildings and other man-made structures. C, never near a churchyard or cemetery. Interesting. D, away from objects likely to cause injury. Okay. So this right here is reaffirming what I just, in my mind, what I just said. 2, a place of tranquility and beauty, essentially appealing. Aesthetically appealing. A place, the practice of conducting an extremely long quest is ill-advised and contrary to its purpose. It serves not only to fatigue the candidate, but also to slow down the entire process of initiation. Multiple walks, errands, and missions or quests are forbidden. The ritual prescribes but one. Additional missions defeat our purpose and add confusion. Performance. In the event the Black Supper is held in the evening, the candidates are immediately put to bed and are aroused before dawn for the quest, which is exactly what they do, is they get you up the middle of the night. They'll arouse you like really loud, jolt you out of bed, and whatever you're wearing is what you're wearing. You may not get a coat. I don't know. Sometimes I've heard stories about them without even any shoes. And we're talking that these things right here happen in the winter months, the colder months. From what I've seen, from what I've all my research on this. So, put to bed and are aroused before dawn for the quest. Now, mind you, prior to this happening, they have been hazed. Not in all cases, but in many more than we even know, because they don't talk about it and they sweep it under the rug. But they have been meant to exercise 24/7. They don't, sometimes they won't even, they'll withhold water with food, things like that. They will sleep deprivation, sometimes even having them drink alcohol during this whole time as well. And some of them don't even get to go to sleep, put to bed, right? And if they are put to bed, it's probably because they passed out. So they're going to be drunk or, intoxicated upon being aroused before dawn, right? And before dawn, they mean 2-3 o'clock hour. Maybe even a little bit earlier, maybe just after, I don't know, probably after midnight, somewhere around there. Okay. Under no circumstances should the candidate be caused to remain awake all night. See, and this is one thing right here. These several hours of sleep are vital for a clear and receptive mind during the ceremonial work. Time and time again, we see these videos of this and these fraternities being, slapped, these fines and being slapped on the wrists for not following this stuff. They are sleep deprived. They are not of clear mind. It's just, it's sad, and it's disturbing, and it's criminal, in my opinion. The magister shall call each candidate into a room in which there is a desk upon which has been placed a lamp. Here the magister shall present a white paper envelope in which has been placed the quest instructions. The outside of the envelope shall contain a description of the intent of the quest as set down in the ritual. Now I want to remind you guys that these are new pledges, right? Youngins, freshmen, that are coming in to be initiated into a fraternity house. These kids, these guys, probably are not from this area. Some may be from this area, but probably a lot of them aren't. They don't know the land, right? They don't know. They just got there. They don't know their surroundings. So for them to be given an envelope and given these instructions of where to go might be, just unfathomable to comprehend for them. Especially if they have issues like following like maps or anything like that, which I'm one of those people. I mean, I would, yeah. So anyway, that's the outside of the envelope shall contain a description of the intent of the quest as set down in the ritual. The candidate should be adequately clothed and sent on his way. So any of those things that we've read about what these kids are wearing when they're found, one of them froze to death under a bridge. That'll tell you something. He was not wearing proper attire. At no time during or after the quest should the candidate be met or harassed by the members. He should not be asked in any manner for the white cross in tangible form. At no time shall anyone other than the magister ask for or accept the candidate's written quest instructions. Any conduct on the part of the chapter which does not enhance the purpose of the quest is improper and forbidden. The candidate shall not be asked or encouraged in any manner to run to or from the quest site. No candidate for initiation shall be permitted to leave the chapter house after the initiation ceremonies has begun, except under the constant surveillance of some responsible member of the active chapter. Ritualistic statutes. At no time shall the candidate be asked for the white cross in tangible form or for his written instructions. Immediately upon returning from the quest, the candidate, still on silence, will clean up, put on a suit, and be conducted to his room, where he will be brought a light breakfast. The meal is important and must not be neglected. The candidate is becoming emotionally tense and will have a tendency to feel faint unless he has something in his stomach. Let's take that one in for a minute. They break them down to build them up. They break them down to build them up. They are meant to be in a form of exhaustion. Prior to even doing this quest, they say they let them get some sleep, but that is not, in most circumstances, that is not what I've read about. It's not what I've seen in videos, not even. That is not the case. They are exhausted. How these initiates even know or remember the words that they are supposed to remember, recite these things, how they even remember that is beyond me, because they've got nothing to even, fortify their bodies or brains to even remember this stuff. And if they don't, then they got to drink again, or they got to get whacked with a paddle, or they've got to do other really awful things. The quest. The magister shall call each candidate into a room in which there is a desk upon which has been placed a lamp. Here the magister shall present a white plain envelope in which has been placed a sheet of instructions which shall read as follows. Now this is the quest. This is the envelope that they were talking about just prior to this. Magister, Mr. So-and-so, Mr. Smith, you are to proceed to blank, and there you shall make a diligent search for the White Cross. Leave without telling anyone where you are going or for what purpose. Promptly at some hour you shall return to the place of the interview and await further instructions. You shall preserve this paper carefully and return it when it is called for. You shall keep absolutely quiet until further directed, meaning you shall not speak. After these instructions have been read and given to the candidate, he shall be asked if he understands them. If he indicates that he does, he shall be sent on his way. If he does not understand them, he shall be given an opportunity to ask any questions that will clarify the instructions. If the magister cannot answer the question, he should tell him so. The outside of the envelope containing the instructions shall read as follows. To whom it may concern, the bearer of these instructions is engaged in the process of a fraternal initiation. He is explicitly instructed to conduct himself as a gentleman. He is not dispatched for any malicious intent. If there should be any further questions, please contact blank, telephone number blank. I wonder who that would be. Would that be the president? Would that be an alumni? Who would that be to contact? Maybe the hospital? Or telephones 911? We don't know. Whoever they choose, maybe? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to take this in little bits and pieces because it is a lot to comprehend and to absorb. For me, it is anyway.